live. We're live. This is it. No, we're just live. That's it.
Oh, snap.
Yeah, just like that. Just like that. I didn't want to. Oh, I don't know what that comment means. Yeah. Why spend 3 minutes on the intro when we're already? Hey, Blunty, is there a bingo? Is there a bingo entry for started the stream late? Because there should be.
Yes.
There is.
Yes.
All right. Well, hang on. let me generate my bingo board because that was fun. Let's see. Is that the right link to make a new one, Blunty? No. Clone? What do I hit, Blunty? Do I hit clone? To make a new board. Blunty?
Use the other link I just sent to make a board.
This one here? Yeah, that's the one. That's the one I wanted. Okay, hang on. Now I will hang on, but I gotta update properties. There we go. And okay, there we go. Now I've got my bingo board, and let's see. Is Bardwell is late on my bingo board? Well, it does not seem to be. Yeah. Okay. No.
I think the stream started at least 1 minute late, but yeah, I don't know that I see it on there.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Fair enough. Great. Welcome to stream, everybody. Sorry about that. I was I had a nice meal with my family, and then we went downstairs and started an episode of Band of Brothers. I'm watching Band of Brothers with my wife and my son, who's into World War II. It counts as homeschooling, and those episodes are longer than I thought they were. But like my phone started ringing, and I was like, "Who's calling me?" Oh, Blunty. And he's like, "Are we streaming?" I was like, "Ah, fuck." Super Deluxe points out that they are not, in fact, brothers. He my son did make that joke. He also pointed out that they did not appear to have musical instruments, so he takes after my sense of humor. I don't know how a 15-year-old can have a dad joke sense of humor, but it does. Also, and I couldn't be more proud. As we were going downstairs to watch the episode, my 15-year-old son says to my 7-year-old son, "Hey, Quinn, I got something for you." And my 7-year-old, you guys know where this joke is going. My 7-year-old goes, "What is it? Open your hand." My 15-year-old goes, "Ah." I couldn't have been more proud. Let's take questions. I'm gonna volunteer as we're building up questions, which the questions are queuing up. Captain Bry, I see, is in the chat as he usually is. Captain Bry, I have to tell you, and I don't know if you had anything to do with this. I got to use this app today for the first time, the ELRS mobile app. And I was very impressed with it. And one of the coolest things about I'll probably make a video about this app. One of the coolest things about this app is that you can download. So basically, it has locally cached all of the 401 firmware targets, and then offline you could just flash any receiver or module. Any receiver or module that you happen to have with you. It just caches it all, and then it does it over Wi-Fi. You connect to Wi-Fi, and it just picks up on it, defines the device, and you can flash it. I've only used it like for 5 minutes, but I was super impressed with it. I don't know if you've. Captain Bryce says, "I'm aware that guy wrote it all on its own. It's rock." It does. There are very few, if any, solutions that I'm aware of for offline flashing of Express LRS targets. In fact, obviously, you could manually pre-compile and download the firmware.bin. Yeah, but then you've locked all the options, and what if you didn't download? You have to manually download it one at a time for each of the targets, which would be terrible. Blunty, yeah, I am in live stream chat. So if we'll start the live stream. Now who's calling me? No, I don't want to talk to you. I'm busy. I'm live streaming. Someone's trying to call me. And so if you have Express LRS and you want yet another way to flash or bind Express LRS, as if we needed more, there it is. Yeah, we'll start that out. That is, what is it called? I'm going to look it up real quick because I can't. It is Express LRS Mobile. Blunty's linking it. Oh, Blunty, thank you so much, Blunty. And if you guys have it's Android, it's also Apple Store as well. But we're just going to link to the Android App Store because screw iOS, right? Screw Apple. Yeah, just show that off. And we'll get right into the questions. This one from good old Brandon Beans. Good to see you, Brandon. Hey, chat or JB. TBS Crossfire in a Chipito. With all the TBS hardware included from the kit they sell, stick inputs are working, but zero telemetry sensors discovered. What are we missing? Brandon, here's the thing. Blunty, I saw you ask about whether telemetry was enabled. I assume you weren't asking about the flight controller. We talked yesterday about this option in the Betaflight receiver tab, the telemetry option, but that would not cause. There would still be some telemetry sensors that are sent by the receiver. So even if you don't have a flight controller, you still get RSSI, RSSI DBM, etc. So zero sensors at all. Yeah, I think that the TX pad from the Nano Crossfire isn't wired up or broken or something.
No, you don't. You do not need a TX pad, right? Because it doesn't matter. You should get the base sensors with just the radio and the receiver.
Oh, you're right, because there's no wiring to get those sensors. Yes, correct. No, you're right. There, you would still get the RSSI DBM sensor. So, and the RSSI and the LQ, you would still get the sensors that come from the receiver itself. That all goes straight over the wireless link.
So my suggestion was in the actual Agent Light, either on the receiver or on the transmitter, you can disable the telemetry and check there to make sure telemetry isn't disabled. Also, Express LRS, I think, has modes where telemetry gets weird or disables the ability to even have it. So I'm not sure if Crossfire also has that. It's been ages since I've used Crossfire.
Yeah, you can turn telemetry off in Crossfire. That is correct. Other than turning telemetry off in Crossfire, hang on. So
delete sensors. If you haven't deleted the sensor, sometimes that's a little weird, but I still would expect you to see something.
Delete and rediscover, sure. Yeah, well, I assume he deleted, and now he can't rediscover. If I go to TBS Agent Light, I would need to have the receiver connected. I don't have a Crossfire receiver handy. I was going to go look in the Crossfire Lua script, but I would need a receiver, and I don't have one handy because I don't have any Crossfire receivers anymore. What are you talking about? Look in the receiver options and see that telemetry is enabled. But other than that, yes, you absolutely have to. Well, if you have the Express LRS Lua script, the ELRS Lua script works with Crossfire and vice versa. So you don't have to get Agent Light, but you do have to check the Nano Crossfire settings. The other thing you could do is you could update the firmware on I would do both the radio or module and the receiver. Like maybe there's a firmware glitch, but yeah, you got to check the Nano Crossfire settings for sure. Anyway, good luck with that. Super Deluxe asks, why does the Express LRS app need permissions for location, etc., etc., etc.? Super Deluxe, I can't speak for that app specifically, but I can tell you in general, the way that permissions on Android work is that oftentimes the permissions they come in a bundle. So like if you want access to Bluetooth, you also have to ask for access to location or something along those lines. So for example, why does it want access to your file system? It stores files locally. It downloads the ELRS files and stores them locally, okay? So it needs access to the file system. At that point, perhaps it's like, okay, we'll tick that box, and now it says, okay, and rather than let you get more granular, I think there are reasons why app developers ask for less granular permissions, and I have the impression that that is not just because they're overreaching, people who want to invade your privacy, but rather it's something about the Android security architecture where if you ask for this permission, you also have to ask for these other permissions, and that's that. I don't know for sure. Yeah. I don't at all agree with that. I think you're being a little, maybe you're like, I'm a little too cynical there, Super Deluxe. This, by all accounts, this is just a app that some dude made because he wanted to be helpful. So I understand the whole, if it's free, you are the product, and shitification, social media, like someday maybe this app will show up and it'll have ads in it, at which point, again, I would be fine with that. It's a useful app. Get your bag. Yeah. So, but don't use it if you don't like it. Don't use it if you don't like it. That's fine. I know I've had situations in the past where Android has asked for permissions and I've been like, that's weird, but okay. Like, why do you need location permission if all you want to do is access Bluetooth? And it's because for whatever reason, those things are tied, and that's just how it works. So, anyway. Congrats on getting 1 million views on Flow State. I did not do anything to celebrate because I didn't know that happened, but that's pretty freaking cool. Flow State, 1 million views. That's pretty cool. 1 million views over 2 years is pretty amazing. Does this link still work? Can you still buy? I don't think you can buy stuff here. The website's alive. I don't think you can still buy that DVD. Yeah. I wonder. I'm just going to go look, because what have I got to hide? I wonder if I can I see the, where's the, analytics. How much has it made in ad revenue over that time? I'm genuinely concerned, or curious. $11,000. That's not bad. That's pretty good. Over 2 years. $11,000 over 2 years. But here's the thing about the ad revenue that's most interesting. Do you see that the line is not tapering off? It's not really plateauing. That's cool. That means it's continuing to earn. A lot of times on a video, the line will just plateau and then just be flat forever and not earn any more money. It's really nice. Eventually, perhaps I will actually earn a profit on this movie. Not yet, though. Oh, not yet.
Sometimes you.
Anyway, that's great. That's great. Thank you for reminding me about that. What do you think about the 3D printed frame, the BM Ether or the Ether 4x1 Blunty in Bingo? Is there a Bingo square that has to do with Bardwell ranting about 3D printed frames and or someone asks about 3D printed frames? God damn, you're so good. You're so good.
It's almost like I've been on the stream for years and I know how it goes.
And yet, the official documentarian of this channel. Let's see. I believe I'm going to score myself Bardwell calls out a chatter for the interaction that I just had with Super Deluxe. I feel like that counts. Okay. I'm going to give myself that one. The BM Ether. So I've seen this frame before. Oh, no! Bardwell forgets to change screens. That was legit. I don't fake this stuff. Where is it? I know that's on my Bardwell forgets to change screen. Got it. You can't see, but I did check it off. The BM Ether is the right way to do 3D printed frames. So the wrong way to do 3D printed frames is to design the frame as if it was a carbon fiber frame and then just 3D print it. I mean, that's fine for prototyping, but the things that make carbon fiber good are not true when you make carbon fiber out of plastic. So plastic is not ideal. The strength of plastic is in its moldability. And when you just form plastic into sheets, it is worse than carbon in almost every way. Okay, so if you're going to design a 3D printed frame, this is how to do it. And I don't know whether with this person, I'm going to assume this frame was designed using some kind of like generative design, some kind of CAD where they decided here's where the strength needs to be. And that's cool because you can't do this with carbon. You can do it with plastic. It still has all of the other downsides of 3D printed frames, though. So, like, this is not suddenly going to convince me that 3D printed frames are, like, the future. I think carbon is very, very good for quads of this, or for multi-rotors of this size. But it's pretty cool. The other downsides are the crashability, that, like, when you crash it, it breaks, and then you have to replace the entire frame. Whereas with carbon, when you crash it, it usually doesn't break. And if it eventually does break, you can replace just an arm, for example. You don't have to rebuild the whole drone. But this is slick. This is slick as hell. If you're going to do a 3D printed frame, this is the right way to do it. So, one of these days, I'll print this off and build it. And I'll try it out. And then I'll crash the shit out of it and see how it holds up. Yeah. We got a $20 super chat from Spidermouth. Thank you, Spidermouth. I'd love a GEP-RC Moz 2.7. I have one. I'm a big fan of it. Seems to be a solid pick based on reviews. Should I pull the trigger and buy a pre-build from GEP-RC? Any known issues with importing? So the GEP-RC Moz 2.7, the thing... Let me put it on screen real quick. The thing I like about the Moz 7, look, see, here's my review of it.
This is the Moz.
Yeah. The thing I like about the Moz 2.7, oh, nice screen freeze there, is that it's a 7-inch long-range drone, similar to, oh, look, they've updated it. Oh, that's sexy. Similar to like the iFlight Chimera, but it's kind of like a wide body. And so as you get into, I'm going to put some other video transmitter on it. It just gives you more room to work with. And I find it a lot more just sort of like consistent with my mindset around how I'd like to build a drone compared to the Chimera, for example, or the GEP-RC Mark IV 7-inch, which is GEP-RC's sort of narrow body, more trim, a little more agile, maybe a little bit lighter. I don't know. Like, I'd rather have a school bus, you know. What the hell's going on with the receiver here? 915? Is that a 915 antenna? I guess it is. What a weird antenna. That thing's gonna... I don't know why you would use that kind of antenna. That's gonna break, but okay. No, there's the antenna. What the hell is this? What the hell is this? Is that like a diversity antenna on the back? Oh, maybe it is. They got this antenna up front and they got diversity on the back? That's slick as hell. I'm just guessing. I can't think what else it would be. Does it say? 3 VTX options. I don't know. Come on. Somewhere in here it's going to tell me. There we go. Yeah, vertical antennas. 868, 915, 2.4. It's a dual band antenna. And so that's great, because oftentimes you don't have, even when you have diversity, the antennas are mounted sort of basically flush with the bottom plate, which is not ideal. That gets that antenna up there. That's pretty slick. Off-axis FPV says it is a Bardwell antenna for 900 megahertz. Yeah, that's very slick. GEP-RC, in my understanding, is GEP-RC... did I have to pay? I've ordered from GEP-RC recently. I can't remember if I had to pay customs when I did that. I don't know how. Yeah.
Oh, no. When you went to order, it says the importing country pays the tax. So I think it's possible you will have to pay tariffs on that.
Yeah.
Like a lot of places will tell you do not owe taxes or import fees. We'll cover it. Yeah. And those are the places that typically can avoid the tariffs.
And I don't know how I would because I place the order and then at some point I get an email from UPS or DHL saying you owe an import fee. But it's not trivial. I'm not even sure how I would link that to the specific order. Like probably I could tie it to the tracking number, but then I'd have to tie the tracking number back to the order. I do think I paid a tariff when I bought from GetBarC. And the only reason I point that out is some Sky Zone people have talked about how when they order Sky Zone goggles, they don't have to pay it. So I don't know how that works exactly, but yeah. So I think that price is going to go up. What's the price? $700. $700 for that's with the DJI O4. But it's not cheap. Moz 7. Moz 7. Why did I say Moz 27? Was it once named the Moz 27? Or have I just read the Z as a 2? Moz 7 analog. That's more reasonable. Receiver options, ELRS, Gemini X. 482. 482 for a 7-inch with analog. That's reasonable. That's reasonable. That's a good quality drone. I like it. I wouldn't discourage you from... What the... I'm sorry. Okay. Wait. Well, what I was going to do was 7-inch FPV drone. So, let's see what else we could look for. Here is a Mark IV 7-inch. The name Mark IV suggests that it's GetBarC. This does look like an old GetBarC Mark IV frame, although I don't know if it's the latest and greatest. $310. See? So, you can do better. You can do better. Oh, man. And do you see how it... I'm gonna tell a tale out of school here. Do you see how the motors have plugs? Right? You see they got the MR30, I think, connectors, right? The reason that some vendors started doing that is that in China there's an export prohibition on drones. So instead of exporting drones, you have the chassis and you have the 4 arms with motors pre-installed. Now you're not exporting a drone. You're just exporting drone parts. And then the user puts the arms together and plugs them in and they're good to go. The first time I saw a vendor doing this, it was specifically so that they could export out of China to get around that export restriction. I'm not saying that's what this vendor's doing, but I am saying that once upon a time, somebody sent me a picture. And it was a picture of a bunch of boxes of drones. I won't say who they were from. And I was like, oh, yeah, I know those binding flies. Yeah, that's from so-and-so. And then they were like, yeah, but look, they have connectors. And I was like, what the fuck? And it was a box with 50 chassis in it. And then another box with 200 arms and with motors. And I was like, since when is that vendor shipping parts? And they were like, no, that's why they're doing it. They can't export drones. So I was like, oh, that makes it easier to replace the spare. Oh, yeah. No, look, do you see that? That's an accessory plug or something. No, why is that plugged in there? No, it's not an accessory plug. Never mind. I take that back. Forget I said that. Anyway, the takeaway is if you want a 7-inch drone, you could buy the GetBarC Moz 7, $500. It's fantastic. If you want to save a little money, go to AliExpress and buy something like this. It's not as good, but it's $200 cheaper and it might be good enough. You know? FPV racing drone 7-inch. I don't know. The fact that this one is pretty much a straight rip of a Gep RC Mark IV would give me some confidence. Didn't arrive, refunded. Well, anyway. Can you actually buy this? Quantity. Max 3 pieces per shop here. This apparently exists and is in stock. People have been asking where they can get Speedy Bee parts too. Apparently Speedy Bee. That's the Fold 8. That's a cool 8-inch folder. That's a cool frame. Anyway. Yeah, I encourage you to buy the Moz 7. It's a good one. Apparently it has never been the Moz 2.7. I just have mentally done that. Off-Axis FPV says, AliExpress doesn't support FPV. What do you mean they don't support FPV? What does that mean? What would it mean to support FPV? How about they sell FPV parts? I guess the USA hasn't lost enough FPV shops. What do you want, dude? What do you want? Right? Oh, yeah. Hey, everybody. If you save $300 by shopping from AliExpress instead of giving that money to get FPV, you're a piece of shit. Yep. Here we go. iFlight Cine R. Yeah, $1,000. Yep. Sorry. Nope. That's what you gotta buy. That's what you gotta buy. If you don't, screw you. You're not supporting FPV, whatever that means. Deep Space Arc, iFlight Chimera 7 Pro, Cine LR. I can't even find it. Here we go. Gep RC Moz 7 long range, $900. Do you know what? How about spend your money how you want to spend it? And buy from the store that gives you what you want. I'm gonna guess that you're associated with a store in the USA. Like, I get it. You need to pay the rent. Your customers, there's always this tension. Skydozer, I would love for you to buy the Bardwell build kit from AliExpress. Those come from Get FPV. I will get paid when you do that. Feel free. But more fundamentally, I have always said, even when my own financial well-being is on the line, you do what you want with your money. It's your decision. So, anyway. It's kind of true, though. If you export money out of our economy, it doesn't come back. Is it reinvested in FPV? Yes. If I buy a product from Gep RC, if I buy a Gep RC drone from Get FPV takes some of that money, and Get FPV gives some of that money to Gep RC. If I buy that drone directly from Gep RC gets all that money. That money is reinvested back in FPV, whatever that means. Anyway, I'm trying to decide if let's see. Bardwell, wasn't there one? Bardwell gets passionate? No. Blunty gets passionate? No. Someone asks about, oh my God, and it was on. Someone asked about 3D printed frames. It was right there. No. Bardwell is wrong. Oh, okay. Anyway, let's move on. Thank you for 30 rupees. I believe it's rupees from Squeaks. Hello, JB. I'm new to FPV and have been wanting to start filming. I'd love to know if it's worth investing in a full DJI kit or buy a cheaper 2.5-inch, put a DJI Osmo camera on it. I mean, that is an impossible question to answer because I don't know your budget and I don't know your desired outcome, okay? If like, what kind of filming are you going to do, right? I think the DJI kit is a good choice for a lot of people because you don't need an external camera to get good results. And that's just one fewer thing to buy and one fewer thing to break. The flip side is that if you buy a bunch of analog drones and put an action camera on top of them, you have one action camera that goes in between your drones. Whereas with DJI, you have to buy DJI for every one of the drones. And so it really depends. It really depends on what your budget is. Okay? Esenaro, thank you for a $5 super chat. Speaking of 3D printers, do you prefer any specific brand of TPU and type on Amazon for your drone parts? I'm not getting good prints on my A1. Yeah, so first of all, the Bamboo TPU is trash. I have never gotten good results out of it. I tried back when I first got my Bamboo printer and tried for a little while. It was shitty, and I just said, apparently Bamboo TPU is garbage, and I've never bought it again. I like to buy SaneSmart TPU. It's very, very good. It's not the cheapest, but it's very, very good quality, and I get great results out of it. I just used the generic TPU profile on the Bamboo printer, and it gives me good results. Keep in mind that Bamboo has two different types of TPU. Bamboo TPU for AMS is a harder TPU. It does have some uses, but it's not good for drone parts. It's much more harder. It's much harder, and so you don't want Bamboo TPU for AMS, at least not if you're doing drone parts. You want, I believe it's like a 93A shore rating is what SaneSmart is, the standard TPU. What about 3D printed whoop frames? I could see it. The smaller the drone, the more a 3D printed frame starts to make sense. Skydozer, I want to acknowledge your question and tell you I don't know. I hope if anybody in the chat can help Skydozer with this question, feel free. But I don't know. Factory reset. I guess you tried to flash it. I don't know. Twat Hammer Racing. Nice username. Military helicopter pilot here wanting to get into FPV. Should I just bite the bullet and get the HDO goggles too, or are there any other good options? HDO goggles are decent. FPV goggles from Fat Shark. They're not bad. They're not the best in the world. The thing about it is this. So, like, currently, the Dominator HDO V2.1, let's see, what's the actual product you're talking about? I think you might be talking about the HDO Plus. The HDO 2 is a goggle. Maybe you're going to buy the HDO 2 used. If you can get the HDO 2 used for $400 or less, that's a definite yes. If they come with a module, okay? These goggles with no module, I would say $350 or less. Gut check. I don't know. Chat, gut check me on that. I'm just making this up. Yeah, Blunty.
So remember, we got a new crowd, so you might be mean HD0 and have put HDO, like HD0 goggles.
Oh, okay. Well, that's true. All right. Twat Hammer, if you, oh, that is a 0. I think it is a 0. Okay. If you're talking about the HD0 goggles too,
just so you know, we always write out the 0 because then it looks like HDO, which is another goggle that's been in the hobby for a long time. So we always just write HD0 to refer to HD0 goggles.
Yeah. So these are currently my favorite analog goggle. The only downside of these goggles that people could, well, the price. By the way, this is the international price. The USA price is $750. And yet, I would like to say, I put my money where my mouth is. I own 2 of these goggles. I paid for them out of pocket. Nobody sent them to me. Nobody gave me a reduced price. I paid $1,500 of my own money for 2 of these goggles because I bought one because I wanted to do the review, and it was so good. I was like, I want to have a spare in case I don't know, because that's just how I am. When sometimes I'm working and you were in the military, 2 is 1, 1 is none, right? So I would encourage you to get this goggle if it's in your budget. Even if you don't use HD0, it's a fantastic analog goggle. It is my preferred goggle. I'll say this too. I have been... Look at this. What's that? Who knows what that is? Anybody? Blunty? You know what that is? I only ask you, Blunty, because you can actually just talk to me, whereas chat has to wait to respond.
I've seen that before, but I don't know what that is.
1.3, baby. 1.3 gigahertz. I'm branching out. So I did some test flights with 3.3 gigahertz because lower frequencies are better, right? So I was like, well, why do we only use 5.8 gigahertz? I'm going to try 3.3. I'm going to try 1.3. And the 1.3 and the 3.3 gigahertz have standalone receivers, which I've been running into my HD0 goggles via the AV input, and it works fantastic. So the HD0 goggles just work right almost all the time. And so they're just fantastic. If you have the money for them. They're not cheap. Are there other good options? You can save a little bit of money by going with a legacy set of goggles, like the Fat Shark goggles. They're going to have less capability, but they will work. The main other one that you will see is the SkyZone Sky04X. Here's the thing. The SkyZone Sky04X at $500, okay, you're going to pay $750. $520 to $750, so say $200 more. That's a fair amount of money. I think it's worth it because the HD0 goggles are so much more capable. The HD0 goggles are the only FPV goggle in existence that will output the analog feed over the HDMI output. So you can easily feed your analog feed onto a screen, into an HDMI capture card, whatever you want. Do you care about that? The HD0 goggles are the only goggles I know of. Maybe the Orcas used to do this. I'm not sure about that. But the Orcas are hardly around anymore. That will output the entire screen via HDMI. So if you're trying to make a YouTube video and you want to show people the menu, it's easy to get. Okay, maybe some of these are somewhat YouTube specific. My point is that there's just so many things that the HD0 goggles get right. And the actual RF performance is exceptional. So, Sky04X Pro, $520 though. And you will not pay a tariff on that if you order it from the SkyZone website. So that's a solid choice that works okay. It works. Many people use them as their primary goggles and are happy with them. And it's significantly cheaper. And then there's the Sky040, which is actually not that much cheaper, frankly. 04X Pro 520, 040 455. Don't even for that amount of money, don't even consider the 040. Just get the 04X Pro. Done. Thank you, Andrew Kennedy, for a $5 Australian. I've had a few 5-inch and a couple of micros. I'm looking for something different. Maybe the Archetype 4-inch, or do you think that's too similar to a 5-inch? Yeah, I mean, like, a 4-inch has a certain charm all its own, but frankly, I don't think it's that different from a 5-inch. It's kind of the same thing. Not identical, but, like, if you have micros, in the, say, 65 millimeter to 2 inches range, if at a 5-inch, I would say a 3.5-inch or a 3-inch, unless you count a 3-inch as a micro. I don't know. I'm going to guess when you say micros, you mean things from 65 millimeter up to, let's say, 2 or 2.5 inches. And so if you got small stuff and you got 5 inches, maybe a 3 or a 3.5 inch, they have, there's enough different about them that you'll be like, oh, this is an interesting experience, as opposed to a 4 inch, which is kind of like a 5 inch, but just like a 5 inch, you know, it's just like a Diet Coke version of a 5 inch, more or less. The other thing I would say is try a 7 inch. Oh, go the other direction. KitKat0981, thank you for 5 Canadian dollars. I ordered a Meteor 7504 with the DJI N3. What do I do first as far as Betaflight and DJI updates? Is the Flywoo wide camera a good investment? Yes, the Flywoo wide camera, I wouldn't say that the 04 by itself, the 04 has a narrowish field of view. And there's so much else about the 04 that is good that I wouldn't say the field of view is absolutely disqualifying, but I almost would. When I fly the 04, the whole time I'm like, yeah, but I fucking feel like I have blinders on. And then I'm like, yeah, but okay, it's not that bad. But the whole time I'm kind of telling myself it's not that bad, and I kind of like wonder if maybe it is. So the Flywoo wide kit fixes that. Great. Now there's no hesitation.
Will it fit in that drone? Probably not, right?
Well, that's a good point. I mean, I guess that's a good point. I don't know. I'm so effusive. About the 04. I didn't even think about that.
Chrome says the 03 lens mod does fit into that whoop. So
the
it's possible the 04
lens mod.
Yeah.
Well, I'm happy that Chrome knows. Can I just see the damn picture? Yeah. That's a tough one. How much bigger does the wide kit make the 04? So here's... See, I don't think it makes it that much wider, Blunty. I don't know. I'm only... So there's this, but this piece is optional.
My thing is the fact that it's molded, right? So you're going to have like the extra area around that molded fold back that doesn't fit. But...
Maybe. You're talking... Well, and this has the ND filter on it, which also is optional.
Yeah.
Yeah, this... I don't know. I don't know. I think it's possible that it will fit, but I'm not sure. Here's the thing. Hang on, Blunty. This is plastic, for fuck's sake. We'll just, cut that away if we need to. Make it wider. Like, it'll fit in the screws.
My advice as a new pilot is don't fuck with any of this and just fly the drone.
Fair.
I just want to throw that out there.
Fair.
Update the DJI. So plug in the drone and update your DJI Air unit and your goggles. Bind them up and go fly. Don't flash Betaflight. Bind your controller up and get the controller switches working, and then don't do anything else. Go fly. That's my opinion.
Hey, look what Crom posted. There you go. 3D with a 3D printer, the world is your oyster. But that suggests that it will not fit in the factory canopy, otherwise no one would have invented this. Maybe they're trying to save weight. This is very skeletonized. You have options, but Blunty's right. Especially as a new pilot, there's nothing more frustrating than breaking your new drone and then now you can't fly and you're like, I hate this hobby. What do I do first as far as Betaflight and the DJI updates? With Betaflight, you'll need to bind to your controller. You'll need to set up your aux modes. That's the basics. Because the controller switches, the Beta FPV doesn't know what controller you have and what your switches do. So you'll need to bind to your controller, set up the aux modes in your switches, and then you'll need to update the firmware in the air unit and the goggles. and bind them, and that should be all you have to do, I think. Certainly the short version. Saudi FPV says the beta FPV canopy only works with the regular 04 light camera. It clips into a piece that's soft mounted. Okay, so that will not work, but you can do the 3D printed. Crom says the 04 is probably going to break before they get switched to a wide angle lens anyway. Yeah. You're not wrong. Oh, question about DJI. Bingo! Not yet, bingo. Have any others? Any others? Bardwell is wrong. Have I been wrong? I feel like at least once I got called out for like saying something wrong. I can't remember though. Somehow,
you said something about telemetry that didn't. You said telemetry worked without the TX or didn't work without the TX, right?
Yeah. I mean, technically, I did say that. I would call that like misspeaking. Question about goggles, that counts.
Free space. You gotta do the free space.
Oh yeah, cool. Of course. Okay. I feel like we're... Blunty, here's the thing, Blunty. You can't be wrong because you just don't say it. You're just quiet most of the time.
Sometimes I'm wrong. It's a rare space. Some spaces are going to be rarer than other spaces.
That's true.
Yeah.
FPV store page shown on screen. Definitely have done that. Okay. I believe that's it.
Oh, confused about a question. Does that count for HD0 versus HDO, or is that a user confusion?
I don't feel like I was confused. I was confident the whole time.
True.
I was. You could argue I was wrong about which goggles he meant. I feel like I've earned Bardwell is wrong, for sure, one way or another. Okay. I bought the SpeedyBee Mario 5 dead cat frame. I have very bad jello effect on the 04 light with the Flywoo wide angle lens. How can I fix it? Unite 67 Unit 42. First of all, are you still in the chat? Because I got to ask you a question. I don't see Unit. When I try and type his name, it doesn't autocomplete. That suggests he's not here or they're not here, right? So you agree, Blunty?
Typically, yeah.
Okay, so, well, what I want to know is it only when stabilization is on, or is it all the time? If it's when stabilization is on, the troubleshoot involves, it's the same thing, but it's different. Yeah. But if you're not here, then I can't get the answer, and so we just skip this question. There you go. JB, what's your opinion on this stack, iFlight Borg 5S? There's something wrong with that stack. There's something I hate about that stack, but I don't remember what it is. I remember that I hate it. What do I hate about the iFlight Borg stack? Did it have a weird Betaflight target? What did I hate about it? Because it's a good price. $40 for the flight controller. It's a good price. I don't remember. Yeah, it was at the FPC cables. Yeah, it has a ribbon cable to the ESC. That might be it. It has a ribbon cable to the ESC, which means you basically are only going to use it with an iFlight ESC, which bothers me. That might be the thing I hate about it. iFlight stuff is designed for iFlight bind and flies first and foremost. They don't make stuff first and foremost for the DIY hobbyist. And so if you're making iFlight bind and flies, the ribbon cable saves you manufacturing time or money, or in some way it saves you money, I assume.
But as a hobby, that's like 5S.
Yes.
It's not actually 5S.
Oh, is that... I remember hating it. It says 4S to 8S battery inputs. Oh, but it says 5S, whatever that means.
Okay.
I can't remember if it was just the ribbon cable that set me off or if there was something else. Something with the bit. I think that they were shipping it with a pre-release version of Betaflight, but that doesn't matter anymore now that Betaflight, 2026.12 is out. Maybe that's it. The main thing that would bother me about this is the ribbon cable for the ESC. You will only ever be able to use the one iFlight ESC that has that ribbon cable. Does it even have solder pads for the motor outputs? I'm not convinced. 1, 2, 3, 4. So it does. You could theoretically, I suppose, direct solder here. That's annoying, but it would let you use an external ESC or a third-party ESC. It bothers me sort of philosophically. It offends me philosophically, and I don't like it. The specs are okay. The specs are fine. Is there a way, asks Scott Stevens, is there a way to back include things in the Betaflight CLI for different models already created, rather than going into each one and doing it manually? I think back include things for different models already created. I'm trying to figure out what Scott means.
Maybe batch include?
Batch include. Oh, that makes more sense. I mean... The thing is, you can make a CLI dump with the code that you want, and you could paste it into the drone when you're building the drone. But as far as changing the defaults, I don't know how you would do that.
Yeah, just to be clear, like if you happen to be, for some reason, using diff instead of diff all, you're only going to get one profile. But I think... Like, for instance, is crash recovery a profile setting?
I mean, I don't know off the top of my head.
Because he might be asking for it. Yeah. Not sure.
Yeah. So, like, you could make a text file that has the options you want to propagate, but you have to manually do it. Crom points out you can make your own Betaflight preset. But frankly, Crom, so I set up a presets repo a while back. And I found that the hassle of updating the presets, I just have a paste bin, okay? And here are all my paste bin, and there they are. And so I found that the hassle of keeping the presets updated, now a new version of Betaflight comes out, I have to go through and I have to change the tags, so it's tagged for the new version of Betaflight, etc., etc., etc. The juice wasn't worth the squeeze for having that stuff show up in the presets tab. I can just as easily go to pastebin.com, find what I'm looking for, and copy-paste it. You know? Wow. For a while... It looks like I was uploading CLI dumps for every drone that I reviewed. That's actually like, smart. That's helpful.
You made a video about that.
Yeah. I haven't done it in a long time, though.
Yeah.
I was like, well, as long as I got the drone, I'm going to save the CLI dump. 357. Happy Model Mobula 6 357. Look at the number of hits. Wow, 4,900 hits. That's really something. Fun. Yeah, so you can set up a preset, but I would just do something like that. Ah, but you have the robot update the preset. Oh, great. Now I have to learn about the robot. What about the robot? So I stopped updating that repo. Oh, Gemini is the robot, or Claude. Yeah. No. It's just not worth it. To me. Can I play Dota 2 with my Blade Inductrix?
No.
Bardwell confused about a question. I'm confused about that question.
No.
No? I'm not even sure how you would.
That's a purposely confusing question, though.
Ah! Somebody needed the square! Thank you, Gret Boy, for a $20 super chat. Appreciate you. By chance, do you have the DJI Avata 2? And if so, do you have a preferred sim that most accurately models it? It doesn't... There's a sim that added it. Did Liftoff add it?
Velocidrone, right? No.
Velocidrone? I don't know.
I'm trying to remember. I do remember that happening. Oh, Brandon says Liftoff has the potato.
Liftoff has the potato. Yeah. Honestly, though, DJ. So
the DJI FPV.
The potato, I think. That is the DJI FPV.
Yeah, the DJI FPV, not the Avata. Okay.
Not the Avata. I don't know anybody that's got the Avata. If you want to learn to fly in manual mode, see, the thing is, FPV simulators aren't going to simulate the DJI position hold style of flying. They're just going to simulate manual flying. At which point, you could download any simulator, any FPV simulator, and fly any drone in manual mode, and it will translate to the Avata. As far as a simulator with the Avata specifically, I'm not sure whether that exists. Yeah. Apparently, according to this post, there is an Avata 1 blueprint for liftoff. Let's do this. Let's go in Steam. And let's go to liftoff and go to DLC. No, not DLC. That's not what I want. Community Hub. No.
I think it'd be Workshop, right?
Workshop, thank you. That's what I'm looking for. Not the store. How can I search the workshop? There we go. Now we're getting there. How can I search liftoff? There we go. Avata. So in liftoff, people have made models of the Avata 2. Bingo. That's what I would do. Now, how good is it? I don't know. And it's only going to fly in manual mode, presumably. But yeah, there's a million of them. Jesus. People have best Avata 2. Oh, that's clearly the best one. All right. What do you think about the Astro RC Shuttle V5? This question from way back at the beginning of the stream. Astro RC Shuttle V5. Cute. Is he asking about the 5-inch? Presumably he's asking about the 5-inch. So, this style of frame where the rear motors are raised up like this, the idea is that the rear motors are going to get clean air when you're in forward flight. There's some truth to that you could get a higher top speed by doing that. Now, are you going for, how often are you at full throttle? Maybe not that often, so does it really matter? It's an interesting novelty. The other thing they've done is they've done this vertical style of frame. The question is, like, why? What do you get out of that? And I'm not sure what the answer is, other than novelty, which, okay, novelty is interesting. So you basically got some built-in angle on the motors. Like, we went through a stage in the development of drones where people were trying all kinds of crazy different frame designs. There was one once upon a time, I'm not even sure, I might have even made a video about it, but I don't know how I would find it, which basically put the battery inside the frame with the motors like this, and the battery in the center, like through the center of the motors, and you're centralizing the weight. We went through a stage in the, say, 2016-17 time frame where we tried all these different frame designs, and like, we came back to the design that we have because, long story short, there wasn't a compelling advantage to most of them. So my thought about this, oh God, it's $150. No, instant no. My thought is it's interesting. The idea of raising the rear props has some validity, although I can't help but notice they got the rear props as pushers. So they've raised the rear props, but then they've put them back down again, so they're in line with the front props, at which point, why'd you raise them? So I don't know if I would do that.
So, can I ask a question?
Yeah,
on a DJI drone, it makes more sense to me, but aren't you going to be at some tilt anyway? Like, what are you really preventing? Like, aren't most going to have clean air because you're flying at a tilt?
So, yeah, so, like, if I'm in forward flight, right, to some degree, I should do this once, to some degree, the rear motors, sorry about that, to some degree, the rear motors are going to get dirty air from the front motors. Like the turbulence, the tip vortices from the front motors are going to affect the rear motors. Now, obviously, if I'm in like full 90-degree forward flight, then not as much. But like if I'm in like 30-degree, 35-degree forward flight, we're moving forward like this. These motors are making turbulent air, and then when the rear motors pick up air and push it down, they don't make as much thrust, is the takeaway. And if you look in black box, you will see in forward flight, the rear motors usually are working harder than the front motors, and that's part of the reason why. So if you raise the motors up to separate them, you reduce that effect. So a thing people do sometimes is they'll make the front motors pushers and the rear motors pullers, right? Or they'll have the rear motors on the top plate and the front motors on the bottom plate. And Blunty, you're right that like in forward flight, to some degree, that's already happening until you reach 90 degrees, at which point now they have minimal interaction, right? If you're at 90 degrees to your direction of travel, which of course is impossible because you would fall out of the air. But if you're at 90 degrees to your direction of travel, the offset of the rear and the front motors doesn't matter anymore. In fact, in some ways, if the rear motors were offset forward, then the front motors would be getting dirty air. But that's never the case. So by raising the rear motors and lowering the front motors, you are reducing the interaction between them, is the takeaway.
Do you have any concept of how much that is?
No clue.
Like, are we... Okay.
No clue. I mean, I think you could... What I would do if I wanted to demonstrate that is I would take a drone, I would do my best to neutralize the center of gravity, and I would put the pitch... I would use angle mode. I would have angle mode set to a max pitch angle of, say, 40 degrees right? So that when I go full stick forward, the drone goes to 40 degrees and stays there. You see where I'm going? I would put the drone at 40 degrees and I would balance it so the CG is perfectly balanced at 40 degrees, right? Because if the CG is balanced at 0 degrees, then when I go to 40 degrees, it'll be CG forward. So I'd do my best to neutralize the CG, right? And then I would fly at 40 degrees and I would look at the motors and the relative throttle position of the motors. And then I would build the exact same drone again, but this time with the offset motors. And I would do that test again, and I would see whether the rear motors were working more evenly. But here's the thing. Here's the thing. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Imagine that I'm in forward flight and I'm at 40% throttle. Okay, the front motors are at 40% and the rear motors are at 45% or 48%. Who cares? Who cares? It doesn't matter. It only matters when I go to full throttle. As soon as any one motor maxes out, the other motors cannot increase any more. Okay? So if I go pitch forward full throttle, and my rear motors are bouncing off the rev limiter at 100%, my front motors are going to be at 95% or 92%. And if I'm trying to do like top speed runs, trying to break a speed record, that's that's thrust that I'm leaving on the table. So if I was trying to do a top speed record, I very much would be concerned about finding this balance. And those guys do that. And in fact, if you look at the drones that do the top speed runs, look at the orientation of the motors. When they tilt over to do their top speed run, they're more or less at 90 degrees. Not quite, but they're close to 90 degrees. And that minimizes this effect. But it doesn't matter. It's just this little thing that someone noticed once and then decided they wanted to try to solve, even though there's no actual reason to solve it. It's just an interesting technical challenge to think about.
Yeah, part of the reason I asked about how much is just because if it was a lot, then you'd actually be losing efficiency in a appreciable way. You know?
I don't think you are. All right. Mamumush asks, for long-range analog, I've heard the TBS Fusion module is better than rapid fire. Is it true, and why? Hold on. Question about long range? I think that counts. Still no bingo. No, it's not true. I've tested the TBS Fusion and the rapid fire modules side by side. Granted, this was 5 years ago when they first came out, but they have almost identical performance in terms of their raw RF performance. And if you look at their internal, the main thing that determines their performance is the actual chip that they use to receive the signal. And they, in the past at least, and I don't think it's changed, they use the same one. So I would choose Fusion because rapid fire is the Fusion firmware is more mature, has more features, and is easier to use, I think. And I'm not convinced that Immersion RC got combined with Orca. I don't know if they got... Tony Cake went to work for Orca. Immersion RC still existed as a separate entity. And then at some point, Immersion RC just kind of got folded into Orca and basically doesn't exist anymore. So my impression is that Orca/Immersion RC is very focused on their military customers and is less focused on selling to consumers, whereas TBS, I assume, is also selling to military customers. I don't have anything, no problem with that. But TBS at least is also still focused on the hobby market and the consumers. And so for those reasons, I would go with the Fusion. But in terms of raw performance, they're very, very comparable.
My understanding is the SpeedyB is also up there because it's the same thing. Like it's the same hardware.
Is it?
Yeah, that's my understanding. Is it's the same hardware. Right now, the rapid fire is much more expensive. The Fusion.
Yeah, that's the other thing. Rapid fire is. Yeah.
Yeah, the Fusion is fairly expensive, but the SpeedyB is like $90 or $100 still. So yeah, I would strongly consider the SpeedyB. There's still some shootout tests, though it's not as popular anymore for analog. There's still shootout tests online you could look at as well.
Yeah. I've thought about testing the SpeedyB, but the thought of going back and doing analog testing hurts my brain. It makes me want to. You know what I should do? Actually, one good thing is one of the challenges with analog module testing in the past was that the performance of the DVR itself affected the testing. That you would take the analog. Basically, what happened is you take the analog signal and you just split it in half and you feed it into the DVR. But the DVR would perform worse than what you saw in the goggles. So I actually started taking GoPros and putting them in the goggle screen and recording the goggle screen itself with a GoPro. It was a giant pain in the ass, though. These days, I could use the HD0 goggles with their DVR because they just record what's actually on screen and are very, very good. So maybe. I need to get analog module bays for my HD0 goggles, though. But I could do that. Maybe. Hey, Blunty. There should be a bingo entry for Bardwell Interrupts Blunty. And it's basically a freebie I'm going to interrupt you every stream. I don't know if you did that. I think that would be funny, though. All right.
I will add that.
Yeah. It's basically a freebie. Squeaks wants to know, would you say the SkyZone 04X Pro are a good budget option as an upgrade from the VR04? The SkyZone 04X Pro are a fantastic upgrade from the VR04. We talked about this earlier, so I won't rehash it, but in short, it's a solid goggle at a good price. It's not the best. It has some things about it that I like better about the HD0 goggles, but they're $200 more expensive. Really good bad boy says, good luck getting an HD0 analog expansion module. I've been trying for 6 months. One IFPV wants to know, can you go over your 1.3 gigahertz setup? One IFPV, I will, but I do want to say I am very much just dipping my toe in the water, so please don't assume that I've done anything right. But, I bought the GEP-RC video transmitter. I did not buy the 5-watt one. Jesus Christ. 5 watts at 1.2 gigahertz is bananas. You can if you want to, but that's a lot of power. I don't think you need that. GEP-RC has a 1.5 watt. Let's see. I wish I could filter by frequency. So I've got the 2-watt VTX. It's not very big. It's pretty thin. It's pretty trim, and costs $55. And you can order it with this little antenna here, which I did. It comes up to 5 watts. I think there's also a 3-watt version. I'm not sure about that. But maybe that's why I bought the 2-watt.
What is the legality of 1.3?
Yeah, so the legality of 1.3 is that in the United States, if you have a ham license, you can use channel 6, 1280 megahertz. That is legal. That's it. All this other shit, I don't know exactly, but some of this other shit, for real, don't transmit there. Like military radar or something. Okay? Okay. But 1280 is legal, so you have one channel, basically. In the EU, I think you have as many as 3 channels, maybe more. But you really don't assume that just because you got this VTX and it can do these channels that I could probably do it, it's no big deal. Don't fuck around. Okay? So 1280 megahertz, that's the VTX I settled on. If I go to, there's not that many 1.3 gigahertz VTXs. If I go to AliExpress, there's a bazillion Chinese miscellaneous VTXs, okay? Holy shit, HDLRC Zeus. I didn't know HDLRC made one. That's actually a name I recognize. Wow. That's cool. 4.5 watts. But I went with GepRC because, GepRC, they, have a solid reputation. If they make a piece of hardware, I assume it's not just, some fly-by-night Chinese POS. I don't know. That's what I did. That's where I wanted to spend my money. Holy crap, 10 watts! That thing will go a long way. Wow. Anyway, so that's what I went with for the receiver. Okay, so all of the 1.3 gigahertz receiver modules, that there are receiver modules that go in a Fat Shark goggle, like this Maytech one. They'll go in a Fat Shark goggle bay. The people that I've talked to who do long-range stuff have told me that these are all trash. Now, how trash are they? I don't know. The one that I got is this one. And this is the Ready-Made RC. Except, oh, interesting. Interesting. Apparently, Ready-Made RC OEMs it, because that's the exact same one, but it's got Hobby Wireless on it. And I thought to myself, Ready-Made RC for real? Ready-Made RC is a fine store, but I wouldn't think that they had the premier 1.3 gigahertz receiver. They're not cutting edge, but everybody I've talked to has said that this is a very good 1.3 gigahertz receiver. Again, I'm very new here. I'm just trying to make decisions based on people I talk to and research that I've done. I would love to get, would I like to get one that goes inside a module bay? Sure. But from what I've heard, the ones that go in module bay are kind of bad. So, okay, fine. It goes down to 900 megahertz as well. Not that I... Custom high-end components and design modifications. Updated tuner design. Interesting. So that's the receiver that I've got. Yeah, that's it. And then the antennas, I'm just using those little antennas that come with it. I have some of the GepRC. I have some of the GepRC antennas, but I mistakenly bought the 1.2 gigahertz versions. Wait, what frequency am I allowed to use? Hang on. I think it's not right. It's 1280. And the 1.2 gigahertz version is good up to 1260. And so I should have bought the 1.3 gigahertz version, which gets you into, although it's kind of at the edge both ways. So rather than, I probably won't be using these antennas. I probably will just be using the stock antenna that comes with it. Although this is presumably a wideband antenna that goes down to 900 megahertz, I probably would be better off with the GepRC antenna because it's at least close. I don't know. I'd need to put it on an antenna analyzer to find out. I think I have an antenna analyzer. I just don't know how to use it. So that's dumb. Yeah, so that's the setup. And if anybody out there flies 1.3 gigahertz and has suggestions for how to make it better, I'm down. I will say, check this out. I'm going to spoil my video a little bit, but you guys watch the live stream, so I'm fine with it. Check this out.
It just was not the intent.
Nope. That'll take the directionality of my head out of it.
Now, is this your footage or footage you found on an SD card?
These are my footage. This is my footage. This is what I want right here. No, I'm not doing anything sketchy here. I don't know why the camera looks dark like this. It might have something to do with the receiver. I'm not sure, but set that aside. So this is 3.3 gigahertz, not 1.2 gigahertz. Want to be clear. 3.3 gigahertz, 3 watts. See what you think of the performance. I'm spoiling it a little bit by my tone, I can tell. 3.3 gigahertz. Now, 3.3 gigahertz compared to 5.8 gigahertz. Basically, what you do is you take the ratio of the two frequencies, and assuming everything else is equal, which it isn't, that's roughly how much better range you should get. So 5.8 gigahertz to 3.3 gigahertz, you should get about 1.7 times the range. 70% more range. See what you think. Oh, dang it. Come back. Okay, here we go. Very simple test flight. Lower frequency, more range, right? And by the way, 3 watts. Why am I turning around? I think I had to change something. Yeah, I had to change something. Hold on. Here we go. 3 watts. 3.3 gigahertz. I mean, immediately I see this shimmering in the sky. I'm like, what's that all about? Away we go. Doodly-doo. And the first test will be when we go behind the building here. How are we doing?
Flashing light seizure warning.
Oh. Well, I thought I'd get a lot of penetration with 3.3 gigahertz. WTF. All right, we'll go behind the barn. Where's all that penetration I was promised? Okay, fine. Oh, what the F? And then I go, okay, fine. I go down the road. Right? And I go down the road. Okay. Here's 5.8 gigahertz. And this is the TBS Unified DP, so it's roughly 3 watts. I think it's actually like 2.5 watts, but whatever. It's in the ballpark of 3 watts. This camera's out of focus too. Whatever. Here we go. Also, I think that's a 16:9 camera. I can see that now. Well, it's a weird camera. Anyway, it doesn't matter. The image is immediately more stable. I don't know why. We got these little crackles here. Fine. How we doing with penetration? Oh, that's about the same. What the fuck? And here we go. Here we go behind the barn. And how's it looking? I mean, kind of better. Right here is where we had a big crackle with the 3.3 system. Hanging in there. So you can see the whole video when the video comes out, but I was thoroughly underwhelmed with the 3.3 gigahertz system. And it's just a sample size of 1. But maybe the GEP-RC receiver is just a piece of crap. I don't know. But my theory is that the advantage of the lower frequency. Here's the thing about 5.8 gigahertz. 5.8 gigahertz hardware is mature as heck, right? We have worked on 5.8 gigahertz video transmitters and receivers to the point where they are as good as they could practically be. Okay? So then we go to 3.3 gigahertz and GEP-RC just shits out a receiver. Is it as good as it could possibly be? Probably not, right? My guess is that the 3.3 gigahertz band, if you used it as well as you use the 5.8 gigahertz band, then it would be better. You get 70% more penetration, 70% more range due to the lower frequency. But my guess is that the hardware is just not that mature and refined. And frankly, I was thoroughly underwhelmed with the 3.3 gigahertz stuff.
Yeah, it reminds me of old module testing.
Yeah.
Like before the fusion, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's just a simple receiver without... I mean, to be fair, the HD0 goggles don't have fusion either. So...
Have you ever picked up like a hack RF or anything that can scan like the whole range? Like, I'd be curious to know, just generally speaking, a lot of people in chat are like, oh, you must have video noise, like noise in the area.
If I had yes, I do have a tiny SA that can scan 3.3 gigahertz. But here's the thing.
It'd be interesting to know. That's all.
Here's the thing. If it was noise, you would see noise. You're not seeing noise, right?
Well, I think the thing that I saw was like from the get-go. You even talked about it. You're like, this looks bad. Like
shimmery. Okay, argue that the shimmeriness. You could argue that the shimmeriness. Like, I don't know what's up with the dark. Something's maybe the receiver. I wondered whether something's up with the Luma signal. The Luma voltage is off or something in the receiver. I don't know. And that's why the whole image is dark. Because I took this exact same camera and I put it on. Now that same camera is on the 1.3 gigahertz system, which I haven't flown yet, but I did just do a bench test and it didn't look like this. But setting that aside, like when I come through here and it gets staticky, that's just penetration. Right,
but I think all the other flashing that's happening like is on top of it, so it makes it look worse. That's what I would like, you know.
Yeah, I would. I don't know what to do about that. Like, what do you do about that?
Well, the question is that related to noise at all? But it doesn't really look like it. It looks like it's more related to like the way it's processing the frames.
Like to me, it doesn't look like noise, right? Like, I don't know what. I mean, there's different kinds of noise. Obviously, I can't be sure. I would point the finger at the receiver, personally, but that's just a pure gut check. It is not based on anything objective. If there's interference in the 3.3 gigahertz band, like what would it even be, and what can I do about it? If it would be military radar or location finding or something. At which point, I'm a secondary user and I have to accept interference.
Super Deluxe points out the OSD is jittering the entire time, which is interesting. It's like it can't lock, or it's like jumping back and forth. It's like skipping up and down like a line. You see that?
That's the HD0 goggles do that. The HD0 goggles to prevent burn-in on the OLED. The OSD goes up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. I'm surprised that Super Deluxe can even see it, but... That's especially with a drone flying, but yeah, no, that's the HD0 goggles do that. Here's the limits of range roughly. Yeah, so yeah, I don't know. Like a thing to do would be to buy another 3.3 gigahertz receiver and test that, but I don't know where I'm going to get one. I could just buy one off AliExpress and wait 2 weeks for it to come, I suppose. Yeah, and then like here I am up in the sky and like I'm seeing distortion of some kind. But some of it is clearly static. That's my point. And like, why am I seeing any static at all at this distance?
Right.
It doesn't make any sense. So... Yeah, see, well, that's not interference, right? Did you see that? When it goes right about here, that's not interference. That's just weak signal. So, my takeaway, and I say that, well, I'm not sure if I'm going to re-record the conclusion because I don't want to just leave it like this and be like, well, it sucked. I'm kind of not sure where to go from here. With the 3.3G stuff. But my takeaway was that there's probably a hardware issue with the 3.3G stuff, and and I'm not sure where to go from there. So I'm just going to try the 1.2 now and see if it's better. Marco, currently there is a part of the 3.3 gigahertz spectrum that is used by cellular, but the frequencies that I'm on are not used by cellular yet. So the antennas were omnis for both 3.3 and 5.8 was just a low gain omni antenna because I didn't want orientation to factor into it very much, and I just wanted to have a simple omni pattern. Yeah, we could certainly try a different camera. It's not the wrong channel. 100% it's not the wrong channel. I'm confident that they're on matched channels. I could move to a different channel. There's a couple 3.3 gigahertz channels that could be used. Anyway.
Is there a way to... Yeah, with that device you have, there's not really a way to tell power or like how the antenna's doing, right?
Not really, no.
Okay.
Yeah. Like, what options are there for receivers?
Does anybody in chat use 3.3? I think it's not used much, but it's worth asking.
I don't think it's used much. Yeah. Well, we got these things, but like, I don't know. Who knows how good they are? Right? I don't want to just buy some oddball 3.3G receiver, you know, without some confidence that it's good. Yeah. Oh, Rush FPV 3.3G VTX. Interesting. Different $115. Oh, geez, that's a lot of money. Here's a VTX. Here's a VRX. That's an interesting antenna. Huh. $50, maybe. I don't think it ships from the USA, though. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do. Anyway, I'm looking forward. Here's the thing. I think, Captain Bry, that 3.3G is going to be clear on all my channels. And if 3.3G is not clear, then I'm actually obligated not to transmit, is the other thing. So, yeah, it's a weird one. But here's the thing. If the lower frequency of 3.3 gigahertz is 1.7 times the coverage of 5.8 gigahertz, 1.3 gigahertz is like 5 times the coverage. I think it's actually like 4.8. So I'm very excited to try the 1.3 system and see if like just the sheer difference in frequency is enough to make it wonderful. Because that's what I was hoping I would get with 3.3. And my thinking is that a roughly 1.7x multiplier is not enough. Because, like, I've flown 5.8 gigahertz in noisy environments, right? I don't know. My thinking is that maybe the 1.3 gigahertz, the 3.3 is just not enough to make up for any other deficiencies. We'll see. I don't know. I'm just curious. Mallard Mafia says, "Hey Josh, I just ordered an Explorer LR4 with Flywoo Express LRS. Is it worth upgrading the receiver? I've heard they aren't the best." What do you mean they're not the best? Specifically the Flywoo Express LRS? I don't know. I've had no problem with Flywoo receivers.
Yeah, the only The only thing that would be bad ostensibly, because most of the receivers are basically the same hardware, is the antenna or the antenna placement, you know, versus other options. So.
Yeah. No, I would just use the receiver that's on it. I mean, if you're using it and you have low LQ and bad range, then maybe think about replacing it, but no, I think it's fine. I'm fairly new, asks Adam Lowry. I'm fairly new and only fly DJI 04. Is there any reason for me to use Express LRS, or can I just use the DJI FPV controller? Adam, the way that the DJI 04 system works is that the controller binds to the goggles with Bluetooth, and then the goggles send the control signal and video signal over the same link. The reason that's important is that it is impossible to outfly your control link. If you have video, then you also have control. They're the same thing when you're using the DJI RC controller. Okay? But if you lose video, then you also lose control. And you might say, well, so what? I've lost video. I don't have any control anyway. Well, that's not entirely true. Many times, a pilot will lose video, and he'll just be like, use the force. And like, just keep flying until maybe slightly pitch back and slightly raise the throttle to climb. Maybe flip to angle mode so the drone levels out and raise throttle and climb and try and get video back. And then you get video back and you're good to go. So many pilots would like their video link and their control link to be two separate things so that if they lose video, they can continue to control the aircraft. If you have return to home on your aircraft, that's less of an issue. Because as soon as you lose video and you lose control, it's just going to turn and come home and you'll get video back. But especially if you're flying a drone that doesn't have return to home, like an FPV drone, a typical FPV drone, I would want to have Express LRS as my control link. The other thing is that the DJI RC controller is like, it's okay. It's got good ergonomics, but it doesn't have very many switches. It doesn't have a screen. It's not programmable like at all. And so many people hit a point where there's something they want to do with their controller that they can't do. Either because they've run out of switches or because there's a piece of custom programming. Like, I'll give you an example. On this controller, this button and this button, they work the same channel. This button makes the channel go high. This button makes the channel go mid. So I'm getting two buttons on the same channel. I'm saving myself a channel. Well, you couldn't do that with the DJI RC. You can't do it.
Chad is saying that on 04 it does work without video.
I mean, it's the same RC link. I believe that you could reach a point where you've lost video, but you still have a little bit of control. But like, if one fail-safes, the other will fail-safe, right? They're not a separate link. Tell me more. Why do they have two separate bars for signal? It didn't used to be that way. Back on the Vista, there was a separate control link. The controller and the goggles both bound to the air unit. So one reason they have a separate RSSI bar is it didn't used to be that way. The other is that I've always assumed that the RSSI bar for the controller is the Bluetooth link between the controller and the goggles. And so, like, if you take the controller and walk away from the goggles, that will get weaker. I don't know if that's true. That's just been my assumption. But 100%, the DJI RC3 has Bluetooth to the goggles. It does not talk to the aircraft. The radio link is from the goggles to the aircraft. 100%. It's on a different carrier though. It's just ones and zeros. Like, is the control link literally on a different frequency? I wish Ian were here. Madstech would know.
Yeah, I checked the FPV wiki, but it's not on the wiki.
Yeah. I do remember some stuff from Madstech's spectrum testing where he showed, like, you have this here and this here. One I think was telemetry and one was the video. Anyway, setting that aside, if the issue of separate control. Okay, so stipulate that the RC controller can continue to control the drone even after you lose video. Fine. I still would rather have an Edge TX radio with Express LRS because of the programmability and the ergonomics.
I would say, unless you already own a DJI RC3 controller, there's no reason you would ever buy one over Express LRS. That's 100%. My 2 cents. It's like, it's better in every way. It'll work for future drones. There's like no reason to me.
People would
learn to solder a wire to. You're not meant for FPV. I'm sorry. You're gonna have to fix something. That's
it's gonna save you. It's gonna save you a piece of hardware. It's gonna save you $20 a drone, not having to buy a receiver. And you can pre-buy them, plug and play, ready to go, as opposed to having to bind the receiver. I don't know. Like, people have made the argument that they would rather have the RC controller. I don't find it compelling. But I don't think I'm going to get bingo without artificially manipulating the results, which I would never do, because that would be unethical. Why is the default prop spin direction for Betaflight to spin inwards? Seems like props out has more benefits. Props out doesn't have more benefits. I mean, there's one compelling argument for props out. I'll give it. The answer is just historically that's the way it's always been. Nobody really thought that there was a difference. It was just like a coin toss. And Betaflight came from CleanFlight, came from MultiWii, came from back historically through time. At some point, somebody decided to do it props in, and there you go. That was props in. The one big advantage for props out is that if you are racing and you hit a gate head on, props out pushes you off the gate and lets you keep flying. Whereas props in sucks you in and breaks your props and you crash. That is absolutely a benefit of props out. Everything else in terms of like, oh, it reduces prop wash, I'm not convinced that that's true. Oh, we got a bingo. Got a bingo here from Zayo. Well done. Did I mention FPV racing? I didn't give myself that one. Question about long range. FPV racing free. Bardwell forgets to change screen. And asked about 3D printed frames. Yeah. I hadn't given myself FPV racing, but speed record is not racing. Speed record is not racing. And me mentioning racing just because I'm questioning whether you should get that square. No. That's meta commentary. That doesn't count.
There's a lot of people trying to metagame this bingo game. It's creating a lot of chat.
we're metagaming. So this commentary doesn't count. This is meta commentary. Blunty, you're the final judge. Have I mentioned racing on this stream? FPV racing?
I don't remember anything I would have classified as talking about racing, but maybe
I didn't give myself that square. I'm sorry, Zayo. I'm gonna have to revoke that square. Now, you know what props out? Oh, no, shit, Blunty. I'm sorry. I just said props out is better for racing. That's it. That counts. I mentioned racing. Okay. FPV racing mentioned. No, he's got it. He's got it. That's for real. Yeah, I literally just did. Thank you, Philip Miller and Smelly Fox. Oh, we got one IFPV here. Discord mentioned. Bardwell calls out a chatter. Confused about a question. Started stream at least 1 minute late. Well done. That's a bingo right there. So finishing up the question about props in versus props out. Just do it the same way for all your drones. The other thing is, there is an advantage to props out in terms of like prop wash handling or whatever on very small drones. I do think that small drones props out has been shown to have some advantage. Although now the chat will be like, nah, that's not true. So for racing, props out for sure. For micro drones, props out for sure. And then just do everything else props out because you want to be consistent. Is it possible to add latency to liftoff as if I were using a digital system? No, but you can do that with The Zone Simulator by Niels Vo. Let's talk about the... Yeah, Blunchy.
None of them can add digital latency. Digital latency is variable, and I don't think any of them have a setting
for variable. Oh, that's a very good point.
But you can add fixed latency.
That's a very good point. Fixed latency. Props out equals clean camera. Does it? Props out. I fly through the grass. It throws the grass. It throws the clippings into my flight controller in ESC, but not my camera. Okay. I crash. I'm upside down. I turtle mode in the grass. Which way do the props go? Into the camera. I would argue the people who say props out equals clean camera. When are you more likely to throw shit onto your camera lens? When you're flying through the air or when you are crashed in the dirt and trying to turtle mode? I submit that because of turtle mode, props out is not definitively clean camera, although. Well, don't turtle in the grass. Well, I need to get up out of the grass. So anyway. Why are you upside down? Because I crashed. Let's see here. No. I'm not going to get bingo. If only. If only someone would show a meme on screen. Bingo! All right, we're going to wrap up. Thank you guys for coming out. Yes, Plenty.
It's not scheduled, but we are back next week, right?
We are back next week. I'm going to schedule them, but we are back next week. We have next weekend for sure. Create a live stream. Schedule stream. Reuse settings. June 28th at 1 p.m. June 28th, 2026. Monetization on, visibility done. And create, go live, schedule stream, reuse settings June 29th, 2026 at Monetization on at 8 p.m. See if I can. Should set an alarm. June 27th, June 28th. That is correct. There you go, Plenty. We got him scheduled now.
Wait, but you set the 28th to 8 p.m., but the 28th is on 12 p.m. Or 1 p.m., right?
Well, June 28th. How can I see what time it is? June 28th at 1 p.m. That's Sunday at 1 p.m., right? And June 29th at 8 p.m., right? Is that not right?
Does that not say 28th? Am I crazy? If you click into the 29th and look at the date you set, does that not say 28th?
Oh, did I set the wrong date? Oh, okay. Hang on. When's the fucking...
Oh, you leaked your stream key. You need to reset that.
Oh, wow. Okay. How do I do that?
I don't know. Super Deluxe said that.
Oh, that sucks. That's what I get. All right, I'll sort that out. We'll go ahead and stop the stream for now.
Okay.
All right. Bye, everybody.